I did boil some water for anyone that wants tea or whatever.
It happens. And it was like I know something. He's back, yeah. Yeah, he's back. He came back that night.
Oh.
He's big on like he'll drive back the night. Yeah, he'll 2 to 3 hours. Yeah, stupid. Like which is good. We got to spend some time together this weekend, which is nice.
Did you get out on Saturdays to be on Saturday?
Yes, we were outside like we dug out a compost in the backyard.
Oh, nice.
Which was nice because we even so we did that and then
How deep do you have to go?
only like 12, 15 inches.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't say feet.
No,
I'll be 12, 15 feet.
you're like, oh, that's crazy.
That's not only.
I would not be in there. I'd be like sleeping or sleeping. Yeah, and we have a ton of big rocks in our yard. And like we'll drive and do like work, so we had to rake apart like a giant rock. And like so, yeah, we were just doing landscaping, which was
Nice.
yeah, and Friday was
I love to travel.
Oh, the composting?
yeah, we dug one this week.
Oh, you did?
Saturday.
Oh,
Very, very simple. We basically, and I'll just explain it really quickly, we built a garden at my mom's house 4 years ago. And we dug all that soil up and put it in all the worms and put it in the garden. And we brought that to our house, so you just leave nothing soil in the one, and then take the whole 12 to 15 feet. And then 12 to 15 inches.
oh, I was like,
We were like, was it? I know, we did.
It's just simple.
We did. And then you'll just put your scraps in it and then you'll wear it with all the natural, and then you can build a little fence around it. So
Okay.
it's like critters.
Yeah.
But also, you just get kids and what
Yeah,
you just create really the hole in the good soil, and you just get to walk outside and throw it in there.
Yeah, and then what do you turn it like every time you throw something in or once a week
Once
or?
a week is
Yeah.
what I've seen in most of the research, turn it once a week, and then depending on what you're putting in there, 2 weeks to 2 years, it can just become workable soil again if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So, cool.
Yeah, totally worth it.
Totally worth it.
I think about it every time I cut vegetables and I throw away like the stems and like whatever, just all the
Right.
stuff you don't use when you cut
Right.
vegetables.
Also therapeutic kind of pushes you to walk outside after every meal or preparation of cooking or something.
Yeah,
That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah. and even if that's not your thing, they have like little counter ones too, and then you can take it out once a day or something like that.
Yeah, I did that with all. It's like,
I love it. Love it, love it. Well, that leads me in a way to question before we meditate this morning is reflecting back on the weekend. I know that can take a second to say, what did I even do this weekend? What ways did you bring either mindfulness in or just awareness in general, like where you became aware of how you were feeling, what you were doing, anything of that nature? I'm just curious what comes up when you think about that from this past weekend.
So I spent some time doing the reading training. And that always brings up a lot of just awareness and thinking about things. Yes. Trying to get at the root of some of the strong feelings that I have, which mostly anger that I've been working on. did some of that on Saturday,
Mhm.
thinking through it more, writing a little bit. and Trying to figure out a way to use it Wednesday.
To use it Wednesday for your wisdom, yes,
I'm not sure I'm going to be successful, but.
that's all right, yeah, the
it's
fact
just-
that you're
I
even,
think the thinking about it is good,
yeah,
reflecting.
yeah, yeah. And even just like allowing yourself to feel it and breathe without thinking too hard, right? See what
Right.
comes up behind it. This is usually another, of which you probably have started to discover other
Yeah.
emotions behind the
There's a lot
anger,
of things behind it.
yeah. But good for you, you've mentioned it a few times, and the fact that you keep coming back to it is like brave, because it can be uncomfortable.
It's very scary.
Yeah,
That's
definitely. Nice. Thank you.
Last night, I like to decompress with like legal crime.
Legal crime.
Legal crime drama.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like TV?
I know, I'm like legal crime. It's quite a way. Yeah, please take me. I don't want anyone to see me crying in meditation. Just kidding. I enjoy watching like crime drama or like.
I thought you meant literally
I
like
know.
doing crime. I was like, wow, that's.
This is a great way to start. I know, my brain is like.
But I love it.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna open up. You might wanna shut that up. I'm
Oh,
recording
that
now.
was so good.
Okay, I needed this one. So Netflix have released a new movie called The Judge with Robert Downey Jr. And I was like, okay, great actor, I'm gonna watch it. And of course, the movie ends up being, it said that he was going to represent a judge, you know, on a murder trial. Turns out that that judge is his dad with cancer, who's like slowly dying, which is like how my dad died from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I'm like watching this movie, Dominic is asleep. Him and Gimme, my cat, are actually like asleep. I'm like the only one watching it now. And I knew it was starting to like hurt my feelings, like I knew it was like starting to hurt. But I was like, I'm like, that's just my life now, like this is just gonna happen sometimes. And it happens a lot if I'm like watching something. Like I'll sometimes just turn it off, but like I watched it all the way. And just like let my tears like come, and then it was time to, it was over, it was time to like go upstairs. Dominic didn't understand what happened because he was sleeping, so I was just like really emotional. And then the mindfulness piece of this is like. It's not often that I'll get into a place of like an uncomfortable cry about my dad, but it was like getting there while Dom was like brushing his teeth and I was like alone. And instead of just like doing that to myself and like letting myself just get so worked up in the heartbreak or the grief, like I just laid down and focused on my breath. And then like the tears were just falling very peacefully while I just laid there waiting for Dominic to come to bed. And it was, you know, it's nice to get to that point when you're just like, I get to choose, you know, how I want to fall asleep tonight, because you don't always get that choice when you're going through pain, you know, sometimes you just can't work it. But this has been with me for almost 8 years now, so yeah, that was my work. It was just like, don't hyperventilate, sis. You don't need to like keep like sucking in breath. You're a yoga teacher. You know how to breathe. Which of course, like if I wanted to get emotional like that, I could and like punch a pillow or whatever. But that's not what I wanted. I wanted to be able to go to bed.
Yeah.
So, and then my cat slept right next to my head all night.
No.
So he's
Nice.
my mindful little one too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think grief is like one of the biggest things that pushes me to practice And I was already planning on coming today, but it was just like perfect, so
Mm.
just still in it, obviously.
Mm.
So if you get triggered by that, I would not watch that movie.
Right,
you.
then I feel like no matter what you put on, there's always gonna be
There's always,
something,
Yeah.
right?
right, cause it's such a common theme for
Yeah.
all of us, like,
Yeah.
and that was something too that I reflected on.
Yeah,
Was like, this feels so personal, but this person wrote this story because. Like, so many of us are going through the parent that hides that they're sick. And then you have to deal with the repercussion of. How that feels as you still have to grow up,
yeah.
so. Thanks
Yeah.
for listening.
Thanks for sharing. What else? Nothing's coming up. You weren't mindful at all this weekend?
Oh, I'm
I know
sure.
you were.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I was, but I can't really pick any specific.
It can be simple, like you mentioned, you cleaned out the
Oh, yeah, I
chickens,
cleaned up the
right?
chickens.
So you're just
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
in
So,
it, right?
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, so I've got a very big chicken coop at the Taj Mahal for chickens. And
It is.
so it took cartfuls of sand to take sand out of the bottom of the coop to and so it's, I don't know how big it is, but you have to have like 4 inches of sand in it for the method that I use for them, and so yeah, lots of scooping out and putting back in, and so, and just yeah, in my head, grateful that I have chickens, and grateful that, they'll have a nice clean spot that they haven't had for a year,
Yeah.
So.
And do you feel like you're able to stay present to what you're doing when you're doing it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, too, for sure.
Mhm.
That's, present moment, no matter what that's like the life, right? Like these are like the events that we kind of have that are big when we feel emotional about something, and then that's like the chopping wood, carrying water thing, you just keep going. I mean, it is all that, right? It's all like Ram Dass would say, grist for the mill. Every single thing that we do, and having that awareness around it is where the practice is, it's just everything. So it's not, there's no like right or wrong to this question at all, so. How about you?
So this week I worked all 3 shifts, so I worked all in 1 week, first shift, second shift, and third. I worked the 3rd shift on Saturday, so I was up all night at work and. Not off my game, but just out of my routine, and lately it's been like kind of up and down throughout my life. It's not constant. I think I have like eating food issues, like I can I can be bigger than I am and smaller than I am, and like I would say over the last 8 months or so, I just struggle with eating enough.
Mhm.
And like I'm starving, I've been to the doctor, I'm starving, but I don't have an appetite. And so I feel it physically, I feel it mentally, and like I really felt it this weekend, where it was like I was kind of focusing on like I have to hydrate enough, I have to be present for work, or at least life in general, but like my body and my mind weren't, it wasn't me, like I was just, I felt like a shell.
Right,
You know what I
going
mean?
through motions.
Yeah, and then I get like down on myself, because I'm like, I'm starving, there's plenty of food around me, like my coworkers know, my friends know, like everyone's always like shoving food at me. Which I appreciate, but, and I am starving, like my mouth will be watering, but I don't have an appetite. It's such a strange feeling. So,
So you have a lot of awareness around that,
yeah, maybe
Yeah.
too much, I need more action.
all right,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The awareness is there. I need
Right.
action, like I need to do it. So,
all right,
yeah, but I did very good last night, so.
good,
But like this morning, I woke up starving at like 5, and I was like, knowing I'm coming here, knowing that I'm going to yoga, and I'm like, you need to at least eat a banana. Like I had 2 cups of coffee.
yeah.
Ooh, that's great, you know? So I'm driving here, and like I started to get that, like I'll get that weird feeling where I'm like dizzy, the sun is shining, and I'm like, I feel weird because I haven't eaten.
All right,
It's just one of those things.
yeah, and then did you make a plan for like?
I'm going to Juice Delicious right after this
Okay,
and then
good.
yoga.
Good, all right, yeah. And sometimes it's so loud, things like that, where you can't help but be aware of it, and it's almost like finding that shift of how do you break out of like the anxiety of it.
I have a solution and I don't do it sometimes.
Mhm. Yeah, well, there you go, that's a big awareness. Totally. Yeah,
You are not alone.
Definitely. I always have solutions, but.
implementing the
Implementing
solution.
them on a regular basis is just not easy.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of which one I want to share.
You've got quite an array from chicken shit to the heart.
Where, right. Well, it started Friday night with having you guys over. And we had the yoga teachers over. And setting up, you know, you all have had parties, you set up, you put time, effort, care into it, had the table set up with all the food, and it was like 20 minutes before everyone got there, and I was like, the table looks so pretty, and I sat with Juliet. I'm like, Jules, let's sit down for a few minutes and relax before everyone gets here. And we sat down for about 30 seconds before the table collapsed and all the food went flying off. And I had a choice, you know, obviously I felt like so many things in that moment of like, just so many things. And I was just like, I am going to choose to laugh. Jules was upset, you know, because she'd watched me do everything and I had just said how beautiful it was. And she's like, it's not okay, you know. And I'm like, it really is, you know, there's nothing I can do, right? Literally nothing except for order pizza, you know, and that's what we did. And Josh was great. He was dropping off my older daughter at work and he rushed home and ordered everything and we got everything. It was fine. Everything was great. Like we had a great time. But I felt that into the next day, you know, I was like, kept feeling like, oh, like it was just so frustrating because of the growth, like just whatever, all of it. But then I just kept saying, it's okay. Like it doesn't matter. There's nothing I can do. And then the other thing that, you know, thank you for bringing up what you brought up about your experience was my mom's birthday was Saturday. Right, that was May 4th. And you know, some of you know, my mom, I haven't really had a relationship with her in almost 20 years because she's paranoid schizophrenic and just lives in her own literally apartment and has no one, she doesn't allow anything and she's impossible to communicate with because she doesn't live in reality. So it was her birthday and I felt a lot of emotions around that because I had the urge to want to communicate with her. And this year I took a different approach as I reflected back on my last few communications with her and just realizing that when I try to communicate with her, it causes her a lot of stress. And so I chose not to reach out, you know, for me and for her, you know, to not cause, because it causes both of us stress. But I can deal with my stress. And hers just sort of spirals her into really a whole other dimension. So that was kind of my gift to her and to me. But it was hard at the same time to not say happy birthday.
Right.
Yeah. And the gratitude, you know, I feel very strong gratitude for her birth, obviously, is the reason why I'm here. And I love my life. So, you know, I guess I hope that she feels that on some level of existence. So that was I could go on about more awareness. I have PMS, so I'm like, you know, I'm very, like the hormonal fluctuations for me are really strong. So my emotions are really strong this time of month. And I've been doing a lot of work around that, a lot of practice with being aware and not reacting from it. So yeah, I've been doing a good job. And I actually did think about you again this morning, Erica. They were just on the same wavelength so much and we don't even know it.
We really don't.
With the Radiance Sutras, just like I'm almost ready to throw out the Gokule, like the sutras in our 300-hour. So Erica is in the 300-hour yoga teacher training, and one of our yoga sutra books is like super duper intense. And more and more throughout the time that I continue to teach the 200-hour training, 300, everything that I teach, I keep feeling this pull to find more female teachers to, and obviously I am a female teacher, but to be inspired by the works of female teachers, because it really is like a male dominated field, yoga and Buddhism, much like many other fields of almost everything. And so a lot of the books are, they're written by men, and some of the information, most of the information is wonderful. Even the Yoga Sutra book that we're using, it is wonderful. It's just really, really intense. And the last time that we all met, Erica brought back into my world the Radiance Sutra book, which is written by a woman and beautiful. It's very poetic and it's creative. It's just how, obviously it's much more feminine. So I'm sort of in the process of like, do I just, maybe I bring that in and let people choose what they want to study, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And even the comparison, like one of the other YTTs, and I don't even know if that's part of the reading, the Swami Satchidananda Yoga Sutra.
Yeah, I don't think.
She had it from the 200-hour. So there's a bunch of Yoga Sutra books with commentary by different teachers. So the one that I use for the 200-hour training is Sutras with commentary by Swami Satchidananda, who is very like grounded and funny, and it's nice to read his commentary on the sutras, and too now, Kathy. He's so great. So yeah, one of the students was comparing the really intense book with the Swami Satchidananda book, which I thought was really cool. So then if we bring in the Radiance Sutra book, then it will be like a full circle. Anyway, my point of saying this is that I'm going to read from the Radiance Sutra book this morning as part of our meditation practice. So get comfortable and close your eyes. Always have the option of closing your eyes or keeping your eyes open unless otherwise instructed. Sometimes we will do meditation where we keep our eyes open. And I guess I encourage you to do a little bit of both. If you haven't ever meditated with your eyes open, it can feel strange, but also it's like really relaxing when you just find a point to gaze at. You're not focusing necessarily on that point. It just sort of becomes a point, of just letting go into. So either or, but maybe open your eyes and even just begin to work to still the eyes. It's okay to blink. I didn't realize that was a question until recently. Someone was like, it's really hard to meditate with my eyes open because I have to blink. I'm like, you can blink when your eyes are open. So blinking is allowed. Just take some deep breaths in and out through the nose. And I'll just read different passages, and all you have to do is just be in your body, let the words flow through you, see what resonates with you. Maybe explore that feeling that comes with the resonance in your body, like when you hear a word and then you feel a sensation in your body. The exploration would be breathing into that sensation and see how it transforms. How does it change? what comes after that, right? So there's a lot of curiosity in this meditation today. Be curious with ease, right? There's no right or wrong. Just sitting up as tall as you can. We try to get the spine nice and upright. And the muscles relax around the spine. And the chin is parallel to the floor, even tilted down just slightly. So the heart stays open, the crown of the head reaches up toward the sky. And when we have a straight spine, it helps the oxygen to move through the body more readily. And it also helps to open the energetic channels of the body, right? And the two are intertwined, right? The physical body, the energetic or subtle energy body. Notice if your teeth are clenched, you can unclench. If you are someone that clenches often, then give your jaw a little stretch. Open your mouth nice and wide, move your jaw from side to side. Begin to create new habits. Rest. The breath flows out with the sound sa. The breath flows in with the sound ha. Thus, thousands of times a day. Everyone who breathes is adoring the goddess. Know this and be in great joy. Listen to the ongoing prayer that is breath. Life shall dance in you, a dance of ever renewing delight. Listen to the ongoing prayer that is breath. Life shall dance in you, a dance of ever renewing delight. Be conscious of this unconscious prayer of your breath, for she is the most holy place of pilgrimage. She wishes for you to enter this temple where each breath is adoration of the infinite for the incarnate form. Each breath is adoration. Aware of the prayer that is your breath. Following the most holy place, pilgrimage. Imagining the place that your breath enters the body through the nostrils as temple doors that reveal the infinite within. Meditate on the self as being vast as the sky, a body of energy extending forever in all directions. Meditate on the self as being vast as the sky, body of energy extending forever in all directions. A wave of relaxation to wash over your whole body. Feeling lighter. Feeling, sensing, visualizing yourself as beautiful rainbow light. Your heart sees by its own light. In meditation, adore the subtle fire. The light that you see by is the light that comes from inside. May we all awaken to the inner light of the heart. The full effect of the inner light and awakening to it has immeasurable blessings and benefits to all. Sacred resonance of the inner light attune us to all the living sublime current. Beloved, I have been listening to the hymns of creation. One day the goddess sang to her lover, beloved and radiant Lord of the space before birth, revealer of essence, slayer of the ignorance that binds us. You who in play have created this universe and permeated all forms in it with never-ending truth. I have been wondering. I've been listening to the hymns of creation, enchanted by the verses. Yet still I am curious. What is this delight-filled universe into which we find ourselves born? What is this mysterious awareness shimmering everywhere within us? Been listening to the love songs of form, longing for formless. What are these energies undulating through our bodies, pulsing us into action? And this matter out of which our form are made. What are these dancing particles of condensed radiance? What is this power we call life, appearing as the play of flesh and breath? How may I know this mystery and enter it more deeply? My attention is enthralled. Innumerable individual entities everywhere, flashing into existence and fading away again. Lead me into the wholeness beyond all these parts. Do me a favor, my love. Let me rest in your embrace. Refresh me with the elixir of your wisdom. Ravish me with your truth. And the energy of creation responds. This is my cave of secrets. Your inquiry has led you here. I feel your fingers on my pulse. Come with me. Leave behind everything you know. The teachings about me are a light show put on by the celestial musicians, as beautiful and insubstantial as clouds. Breathing and feeling the luminous path within. Breathing and knowing that you are beyond measure. That you cannot be calculated. Space and time. Beyond ancient and beyond the future. of our bodies that tie us here to this earth. And in this moment, we can sense the balance of both being infinite and being earthly. Eyes, your eyes of curiosity widen. The heart lightens. As we meander along the path of life, and our karmic curriculum that's presented to us daily. From that place of balancing both the infinite and the earthly, we find spaciousness, awareness, choice, our innate qualities of love and compassion, joy, happiness. And that we're whole, just as we are right now, sitting together in this room. And just from traveling the path of the breath into the temple of our heart, we remember the spaciousness. Remember that it's not this or that, it's this and that. Time you need before opening your eyes. few minutes. If anyone wants to share anything about your experience or get questions or anything.
Pretty amazing because right when you started to say the goddess and like her story, I had just been like, all right, I'm gonna open my eyes now. And I was like looking right over over your shoulder.
Mhm.
And then you just started talking and I was like, whoa. I was just like, okay. I also really loved I'll be remembering and honoring the term karmic curriculum.
Mm,
I really like that a lot. I don't think about karma a lot. Like karma yoga, of course, I practice, but I love to think of life like the things that we're learning as a curriculum, and I just had never heard that before.
mm. I don't really know where it came from. It wasn't in the book. I kind of mixed some things up, but I mean, it's like Ram Dass talks about life as our curriculum. Yeah, like the way that it's been explained to me, I guess in my understanding of it is we have karma, right? Which that's like our curriculum. It's things that we don't control. I mean, we do in a way because when we're led to this path, any kind of spiritual path where you're working on mind, body, energy, or mind, body, spirit, you obviously become aware that you have a choice. And it's like a choice in your reactions and a choice in what that spaciousness that I was just talking about, right? That's in between the infinite self that we connect with oftentimes in meditation, especially when it's guided and it's nice and easy to get into. And then the earthly life that we have, right? When both can exist simultaneously, we have that space. So that's where we recognize that we can affect our karma, but we have our karma. There's variations of it. If I'm learning correctly, that some of it we don't control, but then we have our, like our spiritual path as well. And that basically helps us deal with our karma. That's why we do that. That's why we have that. So it's not as heavy. We can laugh at it a little bit more. Even the worst thing.
So I didn't laugh at the comic part. My
No.
mind, for whatever reason, my mind went to, okay, so. If in this life you're the murderer, do you come back in the next life as the victim?
Probably.
So if in this life you had an abortion, in the next life, do you come back as the aborted fetus?
Maybe.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of like where my mind went, with that. But then the other thing, it was around the same time. I realized that when my heart is feeling ugly, I see ugliness. And when it's feeling happy, I see happiness. So, and that's all something that can be controlled.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a choice to stay in the ugly or to stay in the happy.
Yeah. Actually, I just reposted Ram Dass a video of him talking about just that when two people driving through a town, one person is hungry, so they see tons of restaurants. Other person driving the car hears a sound in the car, all they see are mechanic shops and gas stations. Two totally different experiences of the town, just based on what's going on. Yeah, perspective, right? But obviously it goes to deeper, like what you were just talking about. And also, you don't, like, I guess as far as karma goes and the thing that you said, murder, abortion, like that could be this life, it doesn't necessarily mean like you might be something or other of that in this life. So just because, like, it's hard to, I think, for us to put a finger on exactly the wheel of karma and what that looks like as far as past and future lives and they're not even all human, right? Like this is rare and precious, supposedly, our human life. Maybe we incarnate into a human existence every 2 million times, like we don't really know. But so like what I love about this path is that when you do have that awareness that your life, your actions, your words, your thoughts, words, and actions affect everything, right? Beyond this life, it really allows you to live more fully, hopefully, right? To realize that, like you said, it's a choice of what you want to see, right? And then in those choices, how it affects every single other thing in the web of life, because we're all connected. And that it continues, right? Like the continuation, that's something that they talk a lot about in Buddhism, and Thich Nhat Hanh, like his day that he dropped his body, they call it his continuation day, because he continues on through the lives of all of the students. If he had any family, like we all continue on through that, through our families, through the people that we love and that we touch. And probably the flip side of that. So it's like, what do you choose and how do you want to see the world and interact with it and continue? What is your continuation? And then I think the practices help us to become really authentic with that. It might start like you're doing it because you think you should, or it feels good, and you maybe flow in and out of that, but there are points of real authenticity of like feeling strong on your journey and just being versus trying to be. That's kind of a neat place to get to. Not that there's anywhere to get to either.
I'm glad you just brought all that up, because for the first time, I think in a meditation ever, I was like, well, maybe I should stop living for like what people think I am. And like, do I really need to have like, and this is pretty far out, but like, do I really need to grow a business, or should I just really work on being happy and healthy? And then like, in which way will my legacy live, and who cares? But
Mhm.
then when you like talk about tech, right, I'm like, I definitely care.
But it's like both, right?
But then it's both,
the
right?
and instead of should I do this or that, it's like it's both.
And then like holding both of those, like I think in today's, because what made me think of it was I was almost seeing just like the direction in which the world is going, things that we can't control, I think, that we're making a difference in this beautiful room and making a change, but then there are some things that will just be bigger than us in these next few lifetimes for people that, so for a second I was like, well, I don't know, is what I'm doing going to really last, and I shouldn't be doing it for other people to help them. I need to really help myself and help from there. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but
I think that's even
It
still
does
both
make
too.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
because
that
the more that you do you, then you're giving others
Exactly.
from, and so the being is
yeah,
living a more compassionate life instead of like trying. It does all matter, even like we only really hear about all the bad stuff, but the world really does work on. I mean, there's definitely more okay and good stuff than bad. We just hear about all of that. We do.
Yeah.
And so everything that we do, anybody that, works on living a more authentic life, that is a contribution to the whole, and that continuation of,
yeah, and I think why I said that point, like just to clarify it,
Yeah.
is like, I think when I think about getting better at running a business, I'm feeding like that ego instead of living the compassionate life and like letting the journey take me, and that's just something I've been like working on. So it was just, it had never come up for me before. I'm like, yeah, well, it doesn't have to be that way
Right.
all the time.
And a lot of it, I mean, just from my personal experience, is like letting go of attachment to outcome.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest with owning it. I mean, with anything, but as like a business owner, it's been that. It's been like, and it's always fluctuating. Yeah, reminding myself like you do the practices, you offer what you think is your path, and then you have to let go, and it's just like this whole thing. And I think everybody probably experience, no matter what job you have,
Whatever
or
role, right?
whatever
that you're
role,
in.
yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah. That's a
So-
big one.
So I was thinking, when you were saying, do I help myself or do I help others? But I think truly in helping others, you are helping yourself,
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
yeah, so that's,
Yeah,
again, the and, right?
Yeah.
Instead of the either or.
yeah, I feel like both and is like my favorite quote of
Yeah.
all time.
Mhm.
And I think it's what people need to hear the most, right?
Mhm.
Is that it's not, because it's often like, that's what we're asking. We're like, is it this one or this
yeah.
one?
Yeah.
And then, so thank you, Jamie. because
Mhm.
it's-
And then at one point, I think you mentioned, you had, I don't know why it would have popped in my head, but but something about letting it be. And it brought me to that Beatles song, Let It Be.
Mm,
And that just kept like going through my mind, and I have kind of a relationship with Mother Mary, so I need to really listen to the words to that song again, because I think there's probably a lot in there that would be helpful for me, because letting things be, I found that I just have this real, not need for control, but I do like things to be the way I want them to be. And
mhm.
I am trying to just let it be and not, feel like because it's not happening the way that I think it should be happening, that it's
Wrong,
wrong.
yeah,
Or that I let it trigger me, rather than just let it be organic and it is what it is.
yeah. That's a huge practice.
Yes. I'm struggling with that. My granddaughter. I mean, seeing things that they're feeding her and they're doing a fantastic job with her, but, you come at it, obviously I'm coming at it with a lot more years of life. Experience but they're my thoughts and mine. Like I can't put that on them.
Mhm.
And I have to let it go very frequently.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
just trust that it will be okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
When I do, I think I'm back to regular milk when they were using organic all the time.
Mhm.
Okay, this isn't you. I didn't know any better when I was raising kids. I've educated myself over the years, but so it's letting things be, not interfering, and not voicing things, and really working. Just, I think as part of being compassionate and kind in my thoughts and words and actions, trying not to say things that aren't necessary, voice and aren't nice.
Yeah,
And that's really what the progress. I mean, I've tried, my kids are 33 and 35 this year, so through their 20s, and to today, I've tried to step back. You can't do everything for them. You have to let them do their own thing. You have to let them make their mistakes and, be there if they need you. But you can't expect to, you're not that person to them. Got a husband, they've got a wife, they've got their own adult life, so trying to step back. And that's just a work in progress,
Mm.
because as a mother, I'm always going to want the best for them. I would love to be able to protect them from things, but I know that I can't. So go and not being attached to these things. It's definitely a long for. And I slipped a lot.
Mhm,
Doesn't
well,
everybody?
yeah. Loving,
More aware,
loving,
but now I do, I think, oh, I
yeah,
didn't really need to say that, I didn't need to bring them back to 15 years ago when my son and daughter did not get along, so they were in their twenties and they were struggling. I think we only have each other. They're very, the father is very difficult. Neither has, well, my daughter doesn't have a relationship like that with my son. Wavers back and forth, so I just kept thinking, you only have each other. There'll be a point where I won't be there and I want them to have each other.
Mm.
yeah, that's probably one of the greatest of all time, was being a mom. Parent, yeah, but mom, you know, the desire to protect, it's like so innate
Mhm.
in us. Mm. Yeah, I had that struggle this morning because my son switched his hours from being like the night shift from 5 to 9 p.m. Now he's 5 in the morning until 10 a.m. And today was his first day on that, and he was at his dad's house this weekend, so. And I checked the little thing to see if he was on his way this morning, because I woke up at 4 and he wasn't. And I'm texting him and calling him and texting his dad, and I was like, what? I was aware of how I was feeling, but also like that felt like something that I didn't want to let go. Like I let it go now, but I did have to say that I am like, he apologized to me. I said, don't apologize to me. This is for you. Like we've all had sleepless nights before we have to go do something, like it's okay to do the hard thing because it's going to grow you as a human. So he didn't need to apologize when he finally did wake up. It was just kind of like I think sometimes there are lessons that we can, I don't know how it is when they're out of your house and grown, right? How much lesson sharing you can do. But like now he's in my house and, we're trying to get him to find his place a little bit more in the world. So while it's not even a matter of forgiveness. It was just like, for you, like this is why, going back to the mini bike, this is why you can't have a mini bike. If you can't balance your responsibilities, you can't just have all the fun and then, so that's a weird spot, parenting spot that I'm in right now, is how much do I let go, and how much do I try to stay in the guidance area, but a little bit, I find myself becoming a little more forceful with it as he gets older. Cause it's like, some point it has to catch on, right?
Sometimes they need to make the mistakes to learn that lesson.
There's been, yeah, what number of mistakes, like,
I have an older brother and I think that they appreciate being told more what to do than we may think. My brother, I think, sometimes wish more people were like,
yeah,
get it going for your place in this world,
yeah, Yeah.
just from a younger sister perspective, seeing what he goes through now, I think having you there to say, yeah, I think it's a great thing, and then of course there's the balance, but I think our generation, like I'm 26 and like a few years younger than me, like it's just a really weird world, because some people are finding their world and like making 15-second videos on the internet,
yeah,
and some people are working in the union,
yeah,
and some people, like before, it just wasn't so vast, yeah, so I feel like having that elder support is everything.
well, and
just
I found it interesting that he's like, it doesn't matter, and like his dad attested, he works at FedEx, he's like, they're not even gonna notice that I wasn't there. And I'm like, well, that's not great either, because then you feel no responsibility towards, so there's, yeah.
But I think it is a very different. My kids are turning 33 and 35, and, we had a computer in the living room. They had the first,